Hi, guys. My name is Miki Hughes. This is Over the Edge. It's a podcast about anxiety. And I have a guest with us tonight he's absolutely amazing. He won the Thunder Bay Community Hero Award. He is an undisputed king of comedy here. And he has been doing exactly what I've been doing. He's been interviewing and he jumped online during the pandemic and he's here to talk about it. I have a video. It's 1 minute. I just wanted to share this real quick before I bring him up.
My name is Ron Kanutski. I'm a stand-up comedian. I also work as a mental health and addictions consultant. I work with people different types of struggles, right? So I'm working with individuals who maybe have addictions problems or mental health issues. I also work with families that are from low income and struggle with poverty, things like that. I think a lot of what I do has come from what I've done first and foremost for myself, and then trying to pay it forward or bring it forward. I'm grateful for the individuals who nominated me. It's not really about getting the award. I think it was nice to be acknowledged, that someone says, hey, Ron's is an okay guy and he's doing something good. And I always thought that when I started to get my life going in the right direction, when I leave this earth, I want to be able to say that I'm doing things the right way.
Whoops, and then I clicked it off. So Ron, you're doing things the right way. Hi.
I don't know about that, but I'll tell you, by showing that video, we probably lost any audience we had. It was like, oh my God, this guy is just too serious. So it's fading away. We'll be talking to ourselves shortly.
I love it because we're both very serious people, but we're also comedians. So I really like that. I shared this to your page. I took a second, and so cool. Usually it takes a couple of minutes. So, and I really hope it works this time. I've opened up the comments so you can see it on the right side of your screen. So okay. Last time it only worked on YouTube. Go to Miki Hughes YouTube if you're writing a Facebook comment and it's not working this time, because I saw all of the comments. And the reason why it's important is because there is going to be a t-shirt giveaway at the end, and it's going to involve commenters. So how are you?
Well, things are great. I'm maintaining. That's what we're doing. We're maintaining till this winds down. I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Kind of. It's a blinding light. It's and then it fades out sometimes, and you're wandering around in the dark, and then they turn it back on. And so I don't know. It's in and out. We'll see where it goes from here. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen, but
nobody has any confidence. We've been told so many times, like it's from it's only going to be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now.
Nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Even the people making the decisions don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that maybe the government didn't have a plan.
Just making it up each week as they go along. Whoops.
I think so. Nobody's happy. Are you vaccinated? Are you getting the vaccine?
I've got both of my shots. So.
Oh. Okay.
I want to go to work. I'm ready. I jumped to the front of the queue, get her done. I was even non-essential and I got mine. It's like, excuse me, some non-essential needs to get vaccinated, So
I want to make an age joke, but this is your Aboriginals. You get
it could be. I'm not sure. It could maybe it's ageism. It could be being First Nation. I'm not sure. Some of this stuff doesn't make sense. I could have got it because I was a teacher. Even so, there was I had a lot of angles into getting this shot, so it was inevitable. I could not be stopped.
You're a performer, you're a comedian, you're an advocate. So you're used to speaking for other people on behalf of other people and giving other people advice. And I'm wondering, genuinely, since March of 2020, how have you been as a performer without a stage? And some people are okay, some people aren't. I'm just curious where you're at.
Well, for me, I think initially when it first went down, it was March 13th, I remember, because I was at Black Pirates Pub watching a band, and they were already closing everything down, and I was still out there adamantly carrying on, thinking, no, I'm not, this isn't going to happen. And then of course it happened, right? And then the reality sunk in, and where it's really sunk in for me was I considered myself pretty essential in the world. And I went from all these plans, sort of a banner year lined up. This was probably going to be my best year ever as far as connections and shows and things. And it just went to nothing. It was just like gone overnight. But the biggest thing was the finances, because when you put out a ton of contracts and you're all signed up, you're feeling pretty confident. You're charging up things, you're living high on life. And then all of a sudden it goes, you've got zero, you've got nothing. But you've charged up all these things and bought these things. How the heck am I going to pay for all this stuff, right? So then I was kind of like, oh, that's what I panicked about initially. Then I ended up going to hang out at my Uncle Carl's camp, and I spent the entire summer up there, which was cool because initially I was talking to my wife about taking the month of June off for once in my life and just going fishing for a month. And she says, I don't think you can do that. You probably should only do 2 weeks. Well, I ended up doing 4 months. So the pandemic really didn't hit home for me. When I came back in September, it was kind of like, oh, this is still on. So it was like, then the reality sort of set in. It's like, man, this is going to be a long winter, and I better find something to do, because, there's not a lot going on here. I got a couple small gigs with 10 to 14, 12 people, different places, really small settings. And I was like, this isn't going to last. I'm not going to make it like this. And it just got more and more difficult. And so it was like, well, now I go back to being a teacher. So I think I was fortunate that I have a number of things I can fall back upon, and I still have connections. I had a lot of people asking me to do counseling, and I was like, no, I'm not interested in that anymore. At this time, I don't really feel comfortable doing that. So I wouldn't take on any one-to-one or anything like that. So I just started working at not Confederation College, Oshti Learning Institute, and I was teaching at Sherbrooke School. And so I just started doing some different things. And then we got mask, and then another mask, and then a set of plastic glasses, and then a shield. And I was kind of like, okay, I'm dressed up like Iron Man going into these places. This is starting to get real uncomfortable. So I was kind of like, I think I'm just going to go home. I've had enough of all of this. And then some places we're talking about sticking things up our snout halfway up to our brain. And I was like, I'm not doing this every time I come in. This is nasty. So
yeah, some people are nicer than others. I figure, like, sometimes I've had it done and it's been like, oh, that wasn't so bad. And other times I'll be like, you hate people. Why are you in nursing? I'm going to call you out here because I felt I was one of the people that was kind of embarrassed at first with my TikTok account. And, you made a couple comments. I understood that you enjoyed them. And all of a sudden I turn around and Ron's on TikTok. How desperate are we?
Starving to do something, for sure. I wanted to just stay busy doing things and but letting everybody know I'm still alive, and I haven't gone mad. I haven't gone completely mad, locked in the basement or anything. So I just started doing little videos and I thought, and you probably were aware, I thought TikTok was kooky at first.
You did, actually, because I thought the last person I was going to see was you on it, and then you're there singing your guitar.
I watched you do some funny things. I thought, yeah, but I didn't even do that. I went back into singing. I started singing little clips, and it actually scored me some pretty cool stuff, because I got a call from Vegas, right, to be in a band, and I was like, now, of all times, I bet you if I would have did this, if there was no COVID, no one would ever call. But they called and said, we're looking for someone with exactly your style. And I was like, oh my God. And then I had to think, well, what was my style? Like old age, like old rock? Is that what you're looking for? You would be
like old rock. You would be, yeah. I mean, like, you're all over the place, and you're funny. Like, you've got your niche that covers a couple. Like, and you can do that. You can have, and you've got a decent following. You get good views, and you're very entertaining. I liked when you started off with like being like, I'm going to be the KFC guy.
Yeah, well, yeah. I started thinking about Kentucky Fried Chicken because I was eating a lot of it. Feeling helpless and just eating chicken, eating myself to, I'm probably certain doom, I'm sure, if I would have kept going. And I would just think of these things that were funny, no matter what I was doing. If I was sitting eating chicken, I'd just think of funny things. So I started shooting them. And then it went to music, and it kind of jumped around a little bit, and, well, like I said, it was just about keeping busy. And then, of course, we started off that whole doing interviews with all the people I knew on Facebook.
Yeah, but who have you gotten in your interviews? Because we will. I'm actually very careful not to run interviews the same time as yours. Excuse me. And I know we jump on each other's and we're supportive. Who have you got? Who have you got on yours?
Well, I went initially. I went with rock stars, like old rock stars that I love, like Darby Mills from Headpins, Paul McNair, who's the vocalist for Street Heart. I had Helix on several times. Greg Godovitz from Goddo. So yeah, it was just exciting for me to visit with everybody, right? And catch up with people. It was so good. And so I was doing it for my sanity, but then everybody else started liking it. And how it sort of all started was I was just talking to Crystal on Facebook Live one night, and I noticed all the people jumping in, enjoying it. Like everyone wanted to visit with me and Crystal too by asking questions. So I was like, well, why am I sitting on here talking to myself? I should start bringing other people on. So that's what I did. I brought an old friend of mine, Gary Borden from Helix, on, and he came on, and we had thousands of people stopping in and watching, and I was like, holy cow, this is awesome, that they're all getting exposure, and people are checking in with them and connecting. I thought this is great. So then I started doing that, but then I started another one called In My Circle, and it was basically just, I've got 5,000 friends on Facebook. I'm just going to start inviting random people from my Facebook that I know, whether they're actors, authors, housewives. It doesn't matter. Just bring people on
And
and
yeah,
start visiting with them.
it's
And
a conversation that gets people going, which is actually kind of funny because I remember I said I forgot to put on my like the Facebook comments last time, so I don't even know if they're on this time because I usually have comments.
yeah,
There's usually, so I'm going to open up here Incidents Comedy. We'll see. But if anybody has any questions, if you're here and you're on either YouTube or Facebook only, you can ask a question. This isn't interactive, and Ron is giving away a couple of T-shirts as well. So you seem to get the technical part of it down. You always sound good. You seem to figure it out. I have sound issues. I have posting issues. I ended up doing an entire episode like by myself because it was like, okay, so people just join, you can come on, it's just gonna be like an open forum, ask me anything.
yeah.
And I didn't have the link right, so people were trying to join. I didn't realize it until after I ended up doing an entire episode on my own.
I did one privately off Zoom to Facebook too, because I didn't read the
Yeah.
fine print. I have no clue what this stuff is. I just kind of click follow along. I'm pretty much a parrot. I just copy what other people do in life.
Yeah, and we're just like we're figuring this out. Like some people are like some like we decided like we still want that we want it to be online, so we went about it this way, and some people just sort of fell off the face of the earth. And I think that everybody's going to come back to life in the next couple of weeks, which is exciting. So do you feel like so you've been good throughout? So you've been good throughout, other than I guess like emotionally, like you're very stable. You're somebody that people I go to for advice. And very calming. Is there any advice that you would give to anybody maybe that's having a hard time or struggling right now, or that might not see that light at the tunnel?
It's really hard to give advice to people, because really it's what I do to heal. What I try to do is if I can get people to look and see what they feel will work for them. And that can be difficult sometimes, right? Because it's easy for me to say, you should do this, you should try that. But that's the reason why I'm saying that is because it works for me. What you got to try to do is kind of try to cover the whole spectrum of things and just try to, an opportunity for them to maybe pick something up that they might connect to, right? And that's easier said than done. Like
so you're somebody that's used to people going to you to ask for advice and ask for questions and to ask for guidance, and just wondering about you personally then as well. Like, have you ever been to the edge yourself? Have you ever come back from a spell?
Well, we're going back decades now.
And we don't have to. Like I said, I'm not about pain points. I'm about whatever you're comfortable with.
When I talk about coming back from the edge, like it's been pretty smooth sailing for me because I've got a pretty solid, I wouldn't know if it's a plan or what it is. The road to me is paved, and my ground is good. So there isn't a lot that shakes me. I think the other part that for me, and I'm going to be totally honest with you here, I grew up with two families. My mom's Ojibwe, and Cree, and my father's side is European. We have strong, I'll say, Bohemian roots. I know everybody thinks I'm Polish, but we are very strong in German and Austrian DNA. But if I try to explain that to people, nah, you're a Polak because your name ends in ski, so I just got to, yeah, okay, whatever. I just let people have their whatever they define, however they define me. But the two ways that I grew up was it's about work. There's no time for feeling. You just get things done. Suck it up, man up, and keep moving forward. And the Ojibwe way is very similar. You have to you don't unravel. You just carry on and keep doing things. And so I'm very task oriented, which is weird for someone who went into social work. So that, a matter of fact, I talked with some people about that tonight, the difference between feelings versus task, and why it's important to acknowledge feeling while you're completing tasks, because it's feelings that kill tasks.
Well, it's funny that you say that.
Stop them from moving.
You just said, like the key phrase, like the whole like man up thing, which is, that you define as like your personal filter, but also to how do you see as like feelings being incorporated into a saying like man up?
Well, like, see, that's something I've had to learn, is that feeling piece that came after. And the reason why it was important for me is because I believe addictions for me came from that. When I was active in addictions, it was because I was busy manning up, and when I wasn't really allowing myself to feel, like understanding things like anger, rejection, jealousy. Where the heck does all this stuff come from? When I was able to go into feeling mode and put the task thing aside and start looking at feeling, like, where the heck does this all come from? Where does this all, where does this all originate? Where is it buried in there? I got to pull it out and have a look at this, because that's what really needs attention. Like for me, addictions, quitting drugs and alcohol, getting off addictions isn't the challenge. It was dealing with the next set of stuff.
That's why they say admitting that you have a problem is the halfway point, because you think, well, no, I admit I have a problem. That's just the beginning. No, that's the halfway point.
Yeah, I found out alcohol and drugs wasn't even the problem. Alcohol and drugs was the medication covering up the problem, because once I dealt with the problems, I don't need the medication anymore, because because I'm dealing with the problem, so the medication doesn't matter.
What do you say to people who tell you that it's a choice?
I agree
that drugs and alcohol addiction or using is a choice.
I don't it's not a disease. I won't call it a disease. And it's the same as I don't tell people I'm an alcoholic now, because I'm not. I used to be. And I used to be an addict, but I'm not anymore. Because I don't get those terms. I just don't believe in them. I believe that I had some other issues. No.
So there's no predisposition to alcoholism. There's no predisposition to anything. It's an actual choice that somebody takes.
Well, no, I think with some of the chemicals that are out there, you can be born into it, that you're susceptible. It will lure you in. It will lure you in biologically. It will pull you in. And I think there's a process that you have to, it's like flushing it out, right? It's kind of, you got to flush it out of there. And, but once it's flushed out, you can move on from it. I truly believe that. I don't believe that once you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic. It's not like hiding around the corner. Jump out at me. I don't believe that.
When I did my genetic thing, right, I did it and I got back my DNA markers, and I understand that some of them are bullshit and they've been disproved. And, if you check out your ancestry stuff, what was very concerning to me were the health markers, and just things like, do you flush, does your face flush when you drink? Do you, are you like this? Are you likely to have a widow's peak? Do you sunburn? And then it was the characteristics, right? Are you likely to be a heavy coffee drinker? Anyway, I found it so bang on. And I already believe this is really interesting, because I actually didn't know that you didn't understand that it was that my understanding is that it is a disease, and that it's a lack of, but it's, it has to do with a lack of connection as well, right? So, I mean, you get trauma, lack of connection, and a predisposition can throw you. right?
Yeah.
So I do not think it was a choice. I don't think that, or people that if they say like, well, I don't really know if I'm an alcoholic. I never woke up and ever said to myself, oh, I wonder if I'm a heroin addict. I wonder if like, no, I'm not, and I wouldn't, and that's not where. But I did that with alcohol, and
Yeah.
through this DNA, I learned that I actually have a predisposition for it.
Mhm.
So yeah, so
I look at it. It's kind of like if you put something into your body and you can't control it. I don't call it a disease. What to me, I call it like literally a spirit. It takes you over. I kind of look at it from a spiritual aspect. And if you look at the sign when you drive by the alcohol, when you drive by the LCBO, it says wine, liquor, and spirits. Well, literally, I believe that when you put these things inside your body, that stuff is what attaches to you, and it controls the way you think, the way you move, the way you speak, and but as it dissipates, if that's a good word to use, as it starts to come out, you can get yourself back, so I just believe it's about, once you put that spirit in you, it's almost like you got to exercise it out.
so that would be,
you
yeah.
got to
And
get it out of your system, because
I think we feel the same, and I know it's just semantics at this point, because I know that we feel a lot. Yeah, we feel a lot like very, very similar towards like towards alcohol and addictions, and I also feel that people that are either predispositioned or choice or not choice, regardless, that they're using it to, and which is actually was your first point, they're using it to not for the reason of, like I've lots of people out there would be like, why the hell would you ever try harder drugs? Why would you do that? Because there's something wrong with the mind that says I need to escape. And then one that needs to escape to that point requires,
you're either your soul is broken or hurt or damaged, or your heart, your feelings are hurt, or your thoughts are struggling, or your body is sick, right?
mind, body, spirit, the trifecta.
Yeah, there's also people that have physical illnesses and pain and things like that, so they fall into it for that reason. But other times it's about feeling less than, so it's self-esteem, and it could be abuse issues. So it's that whole piece. It's like you were talking about. It's that predisposition. You have something that happens in your life, and it becomes a coping mechanism. You find something that goes, oh, when I do this, I can laugh. And when I do this, I have fun. And when I do this, I don't think about that. And for a bit, I almost feel like I'm human, or I'm on top of my game. And it just kind of I believe it takes you over. And it's about fighting that spirit to get it out of you. So I think it's just words, right? It's just how I piece it together. It's probably from going through traditional healing and things like that. So I look at it from a very spiritual place. But I've never, I even when I went to school, I argued it's not a disease. I used to say it's not. Oh, and people would just freak out on me. You don't know.
That's why I'm not freaking out.
You're a young punk and you don't know anything. And
no, it's mental health. It's mental health and addictions. So you're talking about you're coming at it from a spiritual and your background perspective. But I actually do really think that we're saying the same thing. Which so like, what would I think we would be similar on this then too, because this would. How would you define then? It has to hurt if it's to heal.
It has to hurt if it's to heal. I don't know. I'm probably on two sides of the fence on that, because I also believe that healing you don't have to suffer to heal. I don't believe that you have to suffer to get better. I believe that you can heal by doing wellness and having fun. I've gone to too many things where everyone's just sitting there and they're all stoic and serious, and we cannot laugh and we cannot say these things, and we cannot, because we're healing. And it's like, this sucks. This is not fun. How the heck can I heal at this? Because everyone's talking about how crappy their life is, and when they all started this, and it's like, I don't want to be at this. This sucks. I'm hanging out with someone playing a guitar, releasing their feelings. This is healing.
We have very different views on some of this stuff. I was more thinking of like the only way out is through, right? So you're dealing with it. I don't really think that you can kumbaya your way through trauma to get to the other side where it feels good. There's a Jordan here. He wanted to know how's your comedy, and have you been doing comedy? Have you been doing comedy for a lot of years? Have you been comedy for
Hi, Jordan. Hey, Jordan. Yeah, I've been, I started taking it seriously in 2012, and we're still going today. Barely. we're barely going, but it's there is it's still moving forward. It's
Yeah,
slowly.
my
Yeah,
friend John Nelson is here. He's from Texas,
yeah, I
and
see that.
he's got a background in psychology. I guess he said there's some potential genetic link to substance abuse as a predisposition. This is while both of you are positively indicated that environmental factors are a large predictor towards substance abuse. Okay, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And
Well,
then
I did say there is potential genetic link because I said I agree in the biological connection too. I do agree with biological connection. I do, I do have that too, but I'm still not going to call it a disease. I refuse to call it a disease.
then it's
Because,
literally then it is label.
yeah, and because disease is a label, and if you carry that, you'll always be that. If that's all you want to be in life, that's all you're ever going to be. If you want to be beyond an alcoholic and a drug addict, I'll give you an example. Have you ever stolen anything
Probably.
like in your lifetime?
Not that I can. I've got lots of problems. Being a thief is not one of them.
Okay.
I will tell you.
So I'll use this as an example. If you were a thief and you stole a multitude of times, do you still, and you stop stealing now, do you go around and tell everybody, "Hi, I'm Miki Hughes, I'm a thief"? No. I've stole before, but people carry these labels, and I don't believe that labels should define a person, because I think it helps keep a person in that realm.
The reason why I stay in that realm is because I don't have the negative, like the horrible connotation to like disease. You just say disease and you think, wow, disease. Yeah. But it's two words. It's ease. It's a maladaptive. It's a maladaptive. It means I don't feel very good. It means it's a dis-ease. It's not easy. So my connection to the word alcoholism as a disease is that it is a disease. I also believe that you can't unpickle a pickle. So once you've crossed that line, that is what you are. And I do qualify because there's normies all over the place that when you say I'm an alcoholic, they're like, oh, are you like right now? You'd be like, well, no, I quit a while ago, but I will always, but I feel that I will always be one. Right. And I know that you subscribe to this because you don't.
Yeah. And you have the right to carry that title. Everyone can do whatever, however it is. What happens is at the end of the day, it's about how you get there, how you stay well, and that's just how I've chosen to do it. And I've got 30 years of sobriety under my belt. I don't have any relapses. So I know something works for me.
I do have the relapse.
Well, see what I mean? I've never had an issue. So because I don't carry those titles. But
you and I also, and I'm just going to interject here, like you and I also, we have different, right? So, I mean, I'm a woman with mental health and addictions. Okay. So I, PTSD and that, and there's a Mia Left from Royce here. Here's the thing is that I've done, this is my 34th show. I interviewed an anti-masker. I've never brought it to like anything to debate, like ever. And she's like, if drinking is a disease, would that not make smoking a disease? I always had a problem with that term also. And I'm wondering if it's the term of the word disease and how we're interpreting it, because I don't think that I had a choice. I think that when I drank, it was my answer. And until I acknowledged that it was about something else, that it was about, because there's nobody, I've never met somebody that was totally healthy, like that had a good frame of mind, that used to just drink to get wasted. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I did like acid and mushrooms in high school. People that feel good about themselves and who are strong in themselves and who understand a core of self do not try to escape by fucking themselves up. Like they just don't. They don't make those decisions. They don't make those choices. So that's all that is. Oh, Brian Corkum. Oh, maybe that's the problem with labels applied. They're applied to the symptoms and not the cause. That's true. I'll tell you what, can we agree on one thing? So this is kind of everybody that has trauma doesn't necessarily become like an addict or an alcoholic or, the disease. But every single person that has to overcome an addiction, like yourself and myself, regardless of terminology, has trauma in their past.
In relation to what, I think they have trauma in their past, but I think the trauma can vary from like what I might consider severe, you might think that that's a cakewalk. It's very individual.
Subjective.
It's to that person and the situation they've been through.
Well, my brother said to me, he said, we grew up in the same house.
Yeah.
Why are you this way? Why are you like this when I'm like this? And we're only 11 months apart. We grew up in the same thing. You could take one child and you could scream at them and they could just be like, meh, right? And another child, you can say, close the door and yell it, and they'll be like traumatized for half an hour.
Yeah.
So it's a personal interpretation.
It's how people deal with things, but it's also how people are treated. Everyone's not treated equal either.
Some of us have a better leg up in life. Like we have more.
You can take a family of, say, 15 people. Everybody has a different role that they play within the family. It's not, everybody isn't equal. Everyone isn't loved the same.
Are you the black sheep?
Treated the same. It's different.
Are you the black sheep in your family, Ron?
No, not really. There's just me and my brother, and my brother's probably the black sheep to me.
That answer's okay. I get it now. I'm the black sheep.
We were both wild, right? But for different reasons. He had his issues, I had mine. But as far as a black sheep, I think I just rebounded better in some circumstances than he did. And and my brother I shouldn't even be talking about. I'm sorry, I shouldn't even be talking about my brother in here. It's not. No,
I'm talking about my brother. I'm talking about my brother.
I brought my brother up here, and I don't want to because
that's okay. We can back up.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about my brother. It's not right for him because he's not on here with me. Yes. So I'm gonna just stop that right there.
Okay.
I got to talk about me, not my family, because he's not here to defend himself, and nor does I don't think he wants his personal issues.
It's hard to talk about. I believe that it would be hard to talk about the black sheep as somebody else. I can talk about my role in my family because I'm the lowest common denominator, right? So I can talk about that. But I'm sure, yes, if there was somebody else that was the black sheep and I was more successful, I probably would be where you're at. So
and the other part I know you said is about mental health, and if you take a look at the world, I think everybody struggles in some way or another, mentally or emotionally. There's going to be a time where they're going to, and it doesn't matter how successful they are or how well they are or how normal they are. There's going to be a time where they're going to hit an obstacle, and it's going to be their test if they're going to be able to push through, or it's going to pull them down a little bit, or it's going to crush them. It varies from person to person, right? And this is really deep. Wow.
I was gonna say, this is actually so.
Time to do dirty jokes at this point.
I know we're gonna get there in a second because I'm actually really I'm very, very interested in this. But we're gonna turn it around in a second here. Right. Do you So I take medication. I've been to rehab more times than Lindsay Lohan. I liked going to the House of Sophistry. I like that rehab so much. I did it twice. I am on mood stabilizers, and I'm not going off of them because I know what I'm like when I'm not stable. Okay. And we all have different, we have different diagnoses. And I'm sure if every one of us went for a psychological assessment, somebody could find something wrong with us, especially if we were going for that thing. Like, I think I have ADHD. I think I have this. I think I have that. Okay. So we'll agree on that. Yeah. Just as in general, do you believe that we all have the same chance going into something? Like, for example, a neurotypical, somebody who's just normal, that's dealing with alcohol and trauma and stuff. Do you actually think that there's a higher impact on somebody that may be neurotypical? Do you even believe that there's neurotypical people out there?
That's a really good question. That would probably take another 45 minutes of the show if we go deep into that. I don't think I could say yes or no to that. Just pick one side or the other, because I have on the spectrum, I have a wide variety of beliefs about that. But I just know that there are some individuals that seem to have bigger issues than others, whether it comes from genetics, whether it comes from trauma, whether it's a combination, whether it comes from how we're brought up. Even our upbringings, I think, plays a part. Mia Laframboise said one word: dynamics, and I think that family dynamics and environmental
And you hit the nail on the head. You
Yeah,
said
yeah,
everybody in the family plays a role.
yeah,
And Dave Evans said trauma is something that is life altering, and what it does to us and what we do with it is more important than what
yeah.
happened.
And
And I
Dave,
actually I
and I'll
connect
let
with
you
that.
know, Dave is from Chicago. He's from Chicago, Illinois, and he is a therapist as well. I know Dave.
So
So
we've got
me and Dave,
John from we've got two Americans in here, and we're
yeah,
like John's from Texas, like with their educational backgrounds. Those are very very good. Yeah, one word dynamics.
yeah. Mia, thanks. I dynamics just sums it up for me. It's how it plays out for us as individuals, right? And I think there's times we can keep our head above water, and we might do it a multitude of times, and then there'll be just all these certain, I think external factors, and it'll just sink our boat. And it won't even be that big. It might even be something that just sideswipes us, and we weren't ready, and it sinks us. Like, I'm not saying that I'm like, I don't have a disease. It'll never happen to me. Like, I could get sideswiped. I don't know what that would look like. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I have
I
a
don't know how
healthy
many. I don't
fear.
know how many social punches it would take for me to go crash. Maybe if I sat and described it, like if I thought of what's the worst possible thing that could happen to me in the course of a couple of days.
You can probably think of that. What made you say that's it? That's all.
Yeah.
What
Well,
made you say that's it? I'm not. That's it. I'm not
well,
drinking.
I use the typical saying. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I just got tired of the discomfort. I just got tired of feeling shitty. My line is Tuesday 4:30 afternoon at the Capitol Theater, leaning up against the wall at 4:30 the afternoon, going, oh my God, I feel so shitty. Why do I feel shitty? Oh, because I'm off everything. This is wrong. I'm on the wrong side of the teeter totter at this point. And I think it was just sort of that. I'm not on anything, and I don't feel good. I'm supposed to be feeling good because I'm not on anything. It kind of went from one end and it flipped to the other, and I just said that's enough. And
So
even though I said that's enough, it wasn't like that wasn't the magic moment, and it stopped, because it's kind of like, oh, you want a little bit more punishment, do you? And I went back a couple more times and played in the fire, and it's like, oh shit,
how hot is this
yeah.
stove?
Oh, I burnt my
It was
hand
hot
again.
last time.
Burnt my
Maybe it's
hand
not hot.
again. I burnt my
Yeah,
hand again. Yeah, that's right.
maybe it's not hot this time. I don't
Yeah,
know. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
And I
Maybe
don't
it won't burn as much this time because I'm
know.
used to the heat. No, and it was the same every time. I was like, okay, now you're
Hilarious.
just plain foolish.
Mhm.
You're doing stuff that's counterproductive to you. So when I talk to people now, I talk about, do you want your freedom back? Do you just want, like, people talk about being free, especially lately. You'll see that. Well, I want my freedom. I don't want to wear this mask. I want my freedom and my freedom. Everyone's going on about their freedom.
That is really like, is that the best depression you can come up with? Because
Yeah,
there's history
yeah,
with totally other things in that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And to be honest, none of us are truly free. It doesn't matter. But one of the things I do know is if I'm taking something off a little piece of paper, fold it up, and I'm snorting it up my nose and it's kicking my ass, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I letting this little folder of cocaine run me? Why am I doing? I want to be in charge, and this is in charge. So that, to me, that's what it was. I'm not in charge. I want to be in charge again.
Ron, the thing is, you don't get to see yourself like from the outside looking in. Like, I know why you won the Thunder Bay Community Hero Award. Like, I understand people that listen to you, people that know you, and people that go to you for advice know why you won that award. And it's funny because you just speak so off the cuff when you actually have a very, like, you're very grounded with this knowledgeable. You're very. When you got sober, sorry, it was 25, 30 years ago. When did you say?
30.
It was 30 years ago. Okay. So I just wanted to say that you're an absolute gift, by the way, all the people that you've helped in the meantime, as well as, because we are terrible comedians right now. Like, we're really bad at this. So you are very, so you've got the, like the addictions, you've got the counseling, you've got the self-awareness down. And on top of that, you threw in being a really good comedian.
A comedian, but see, comedy for me now we're getting into a place where I really want to go, because
I'm steering the ship.
Yeah, I'll say some stuff on here, and people can, you won't know it's true or you won't believe it or not, but I'll tell some people right now, in grade 8, I was sitting in my desk with a guy by the name of Brian McIver, and hopefully he comes and watches this video, and he'll attest to this. We created a lot of material. I talked about rock and roll and comedy before Sam Kinison was there. Before Sam Kinison even showed up on the scene and started doing rock and roll and heavy metal and comedy, I talked about that persona. That was my dream. My friend Brian and I, we talked about the friendly giant being the unfriendly giant and torturing that chicken. We used to laugh.
Wait, you knew about that? I had a whole tape collection. The Unfriendly Chicken.
You remember the Unfriendly Giant?
Oh
yeah.
my God! Do I remember the?
I'm telling you, when I heard that stuff come on the radio, me and my friend created that.
Wait a second. Get in the fort. You know, that's not a fort. That's a chicken coffin. That was the best. You were involved in that. What?
No, I'm saying we wrote that stuff before these guys even came up with it. We made it up in grade 8.
You were the first Dr. Demento.
we were the characters. When I watch guys like Mike Myers, those could be my best friends. Not Mike Myers, the killer, not the guy from Halloween, but Mike Myers, Toronto. Yeah. I can relate to those guys because they were like my friends, talking in different accents, like pretending you're Scottish or French or whatever. We did all that. We were into that. Like, when I watch, the only difference is we were kids from the bush and we never did anything with it. I'm not trying to lay claim to it, but I'll tell you that Unfriendly Giant, when I heard it come on the radio, I was like, fuck, we did that. We did.
Look up, way up, past the dumb cardboard cow. Yeah. I love the Unfriendly Giant. And I haven't heard it in a long time, but
they're great. It was the funniest stuff ever. But I remember we used to get sent to the office because we'd be laughing so hard because we would write stuff at our desk and create scenes about torturing that chicken, and we would just laugh and we get kicked out of the room. And I hope Brian actually comes on here and hears this, because he'll remember that. I remember talking about blending rock and roll, and then Sam Kinison came up and I went, well, so much for that, because he was my dream. Like, it was something I saw as a persona, and this man created it, and that's why Sam Kinison was my hero in comedy. When I saw this guy come out yelling and screaming, and he was aggressive, and then he was playing a guitar, he would open up his comedy shows playing guitar, and I thought, that's what I dreamt of.
That's what I want to do.
That's what I wanted to be. But there can only be one Sam.
We're gonna, just for 1 second, I'm just gonna bring it down for a second. We can bring it back up, but just because Jordan has asked, and I'm not gonna ask what you think I'm gonna ask, but he wrote, I can't believe those kids of the 215 died, and it was heartbroken. It was hard, hard mad for us, because, like, come on, they're just little kids. Ron, that's my question, because it's been tough. So I asked Ron, it was a couple of weeks ago, and it was 2 weeks ago. I said, do you want to come on Over the Edge tonight and talk about the children that they just found? And your answer, I loved it, was no, because I still want to be able to work. So you thought if you came on and you were, and I'm not going to get that charged up, because I knew that this was going to get put up, right? Because this is something that I'm wondering too. So I'm not going to ask you for your opinion on that, because it's so charged, and I would be asking you for you to be speaking on behalf of, and so I'm not going to do that.
No, I'm going to ask. I can go from the personal perspective, and it's not 215. It's 300, and I think it's over 300 and some now.
They're still going.
Yeah, and when we get to the rest of these schools, we're going to find the rest, because we already know from sessions and visiting with people that they talked about people missing. They talked about children leaving and never coming back. This is going to be a nightmare that's going to be ongoing probably for the rest of my life.
I'm going to ask you something here. So that's very, very specific to you.
Okay.
Because, if you could tell, like somebody like me, if you could tell, I want to say, if you could tell white people, if you could tell the rest of Canada, anybody that's non-Aboriginal, non-Indigenous, if you give them some advice or shed some light on your view, what do you want us to know?
Well,
what could you tell everybody? If we could all just understand something, what would that be?
I think the thing that I would like, if I was going to share something, first and foremost, I'd like to tell Canadians or North Americans, and I would even include Central Americans and South Americans, because they've done the same atrocities to their Indigenous people. What we have to do, though, first and foremost, is we have to start getting the true history of our country and the stuff that was fed to us in the classroom, that was everything from upper and lower Canada and all this kind of stuff, and the arrival of the French. And we did a whole history course, but we didn't really get down to what the country did to their Indigenous people.
I learned Indigenous history, Canadian history, on TikTok.
Yeah. Well,
that's where I got it. And I'm going to say I got it in a very, very humorous way, because that's what they did. They said, we were called, when you were called, under miscellaneous, under the 2020 census, the government, when it was miscellaneous.
Yeah.
And it was just a big joke, like,
that was in the United States.
We're miscellaneous. I guess that's where I was, I guess, on American TikTok. But and the way that it's being like handled right now, like, I mean, of course, I don't see any jokes, I don't see any of that, but that's where we're getting our information, because I didn't get it in school. Mm-hmm. I didn't learn about this.
You wouldn't see, when you look at a society of people that went from independence to interdependence to dependency, you got to look at how that was created. See, what I find it's really interesting when we drive down the road, and this goes for a lot of people. You drive down the road and you see someone on the side of the road, they're homeless. It doesn't matter what nationality you are. Some people will look and go, ha ha ha, look at those drunks over there, and they laugh at them. Look how drunk they are, they're funny. There's the people that laugh at it. There's the other person that drives by and looks at it and gets really mad. There's that person that's driving down the road and they're angry and they go, look at those bummity bums, and they just go on with the negativity of how, they're burden to society, bum, and they're just mad. And then there's that other person that drives by in the car that goes like this: I don't even want to see this. Oh, I don't want to look over there. I don't want to make eye contact. I don't want to know that this exists. And then there's that other person that drives by and goes, I wish I could do something. I want to help, but I don't know what to do. But you got all these different perceptions, but we got to understand, where do these perceptions come from? Who taught us these things? Like,
it's a systemic racism, and that's period. That's what it is. And so, I mean, if you go to the States and you look at the Black Lives Matter, right? So I put like BLM on my stuff, and they said, no, you don't do that. Only Black people can use Black Lives Matter. And I think, okay, well, what about the Aboriginals in Canada? And the Aboriginals here are saying, yes, support us, do it vocally, be loud, right? Yeah. So trying to do whatever movement is whatever you want, like what can we do?
That's all part and parcel of the whole craziness of all of this, right? It's because
something else. Sorry, Palageno said, we were called something else.
Yeah, we're called something else. Yeah. So as long as we're always subdivided, people are easy to manage. As long as the Indians are fighting with the mainstream society, if the Blacks are fighting with the Asians, and the Asians aren't getting along with the Mexicans, and so on and so forth. I hate to start talking about America, because I do relate a lot to what's going on there. Everyone is subdivided, right? And that's the way the government likes it. We don't want people unifying. Right now, what we're seeing this left and right movement now. Pick a side. No, we shouldn't be picking a side. That's how we're
hate the sides. You can either be a racist or a pedophile if you're like that's the way it was in November. Like any sides, like picking up the clean side of a turd. Yeah. Like, I don't want to touch any of that. Those are my options.
What we got to start doing as a group is we have to start working what's in the best interest for the whole, not for subgroups, we got to do what's right. So, and get that understanding of what everyone's been gone through. Let's just get the facts on the table and start supporting one another.
How many more facts need to come out, do you feel, before and that's the thing, is the hits just keep on coming?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if it's about facts anymore. It's about when will people start looking at the realities. Okay, I see someone here. Mia's got something.
Yeah, I'm going to answer. I'm liking Mia. Hi, Mia.
Question. I was asked how I felt about these graves all being dug up, and some elders said they would rather leave the hurt there in the graves. It's very hard for them to relive what they went through. But then some elders know it is their time to tell their story. And how do you feel? Yeah.
Are you okay?
I'm getting mixed messages too, because I have had some elders say we need to let it go. And
That
I
pisses me off, Ron. I'm sorry.
no,
And I'm going to cut you
I
off here.
have,
That makes me mad. And I'm watching my Aboriginal friends post things saying, "Hey, we're not trying to make you feel bad. We're just trying to tell you what's happening." No,
yeah,
make us feel bad. It's happening right now. Like you're not getting over it. It's not over.
yeah.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But there are some people that believe that, like in our in our teachings, there are some elders that believe is every time you bring stuff back, you don't let the dead rest, right? And so sometimes it's hard to honor our teachings and our elders.
But how
And
do you honor the dead
also
when
to
they're
do
still digging them up right now, and there's still more to be found right
exactly.
now? Like there's turn the other cheek and get over it, and that was before us, but it's happening right
Yeah.
now.
So the thing that I think the thing is we have to get back to the roots of acknowledging what's happened, but we and these somehow institutions need to be held accountable. How that's going to happen, I don't know. I really don't know. Um, the only thing I think sometimes is if you make people that are rich poor, it removes them from power so that they can't continue that behavior anymore. You have to take that power away from them. I don't know. And money is power. Because I know some people say, what is this? More payouts? More payouts? We're going to have to keep
That
paying
makes
out.
me so angry.
And it goes about payouts. What it is, it's about removing power and control from place of institutions of unwellness that have done damage so that they can't repeat that anymore in the future. And like the thing that breaks my heart is the people that have to pay in the end is the common person has to pay the institution out of its debt or its wrongdoing. And that's why the population gets angry, because it's not the institution that's going to pay the bill. It's going to be the common everyday person on the street that attends.
But there's so many others that are responsible. If they found dead babies in my, I'm sorry to be insensitive. If they found dead babies buried in my yard, there would
Yeah,
be accountability quickly.
yeah.
Or I could sit in jail while
Well,
they decide.
everybody says that. Yeah, if you found that in your backyard, you would have a criminal investigation and
I was
maybe
thinking, what if it was my high school? If they found children in my high school, in my public school, in
yeah,
my
yeah.
and I barely like I'm not even touching the service, and I get it. Like you could be like, well, what does this white girl have to do with anything? And virtual virtue signaling and stuff. I mean, I've got a pony in this race too, and I know that when I go to the hospital, they have to look at my chart before they realize that they get to treat me like shit, right? Because I look the way I do, and I have the insurance that I have, and I go in, and I'm treated a certain way. But once they've read my file, I'm a piece of shit. Period. Like with I have mental health and addictions issues, and it doesn't matter that they were a decade ago. That's how I'm treated.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not treated like that because of how I look. I'm treated like that because of my records. Now, if I had to walk away, it's not like you can not be Aboriginal for a day.
Yeah.
Right?
I think there needs to be some accountability. I don't agree with the people that say we should just move on and let it go. I think there has to be an accountability factor that's done, and it's going to be painful. This is a lot of hurt that's going to keep coming up. There is a that group of people, like I said, that are driving in the car that are saying, I don't want to hear about it. Let's just move on. I don't want to, because people don't want to deal with it, because some people didn't even know that this happened. So
it's
this
not pretty. You don't want to look at it.
this is
It's
a
not
whole
pretty.
bunch of stuff that's getting slammed in people's faces, and they're going, what the heck is going on here? Like, what has happened? And, but, when people tell me, like, you need to move on, and I'll say, well, why do we go stand out on Remembrance Day every year? Why don't we just move on? That was 75 years ago, World War II. Everybody I know that served there is dead. Why are we still carrying on? Why don't we move on? And the reason being is because we want to honor and respect, right? And we also don't want to forget what happened, so we don't.
But let's get all of the information. Brian Corkum said we can't let it go until you know what the truth is. Like
and that's why this needs to be the same thing. We need to be allowed to mourn this. We need to be allowed to look at this truth. But these atrocities that have happened here in North America and South America at the same level of destruction is just a tip of the iceberg of what this one particular organization has done. This has been done worldwide. There has been a large amount of bodies found in a sewage tank in Ireland. Same situation. And
what do you say? Yeah,
it's mind-boggling to even think about it. It's mind-boggling to even think that human beings have done this to children. I I can't. I just, but
yeah, like there's questions I want to ask, but then I'm
yeah.
just like, no, shut up, because I also don't want to be like,
I know I didn't want to go there, but obviously I'm going there. So I'm the biggest thing, like you said though, is I didn't want to go there because it's in anything right now, and the world is so polarized. If I say something about the government, I lose 50% of my connection. If I say something about an organization, I lose 50% of my connection. Maybe not 50, maybe 32. Maybe it's just the hardcore, the hardliners that want to pretend with the closed blinders that it never happened. But
it's easy though. It's easy. I have a friend. His name is it's Scott Hobbs, and he wrote. This was a Facebook post that went really viral a few years ago, and he just said, "I used to be racist, but I'm not anymore." And it went on to about how he felt about systemic racism and how he's jumped sides, why he did, and based on education. And it's okay to change. It's okay to say, look, I used to be a piece of shit about how I used to view the Indigenous community, but I've changed my mind now. And I think that's okay. And I feel like it doesn't matter what I feel, but I feel like people are changing, right? Because now we're becoming more aware. When I first got sober 10 years ago, I did AA in the beginning. I did it for about 4 years. And my my sponsor, she was Aboriginal, and we used to hang out in groups and stuff. And I was talking about how great the healthcare system was in Canada, and how I'd come back to Thunder Bay, and how I had gotten treatment, and how I had gotten this, I'd gotten this apartment. I was like, brought back from death with psychiatry and help and funding and all of this stuff. And she looked at me one day and she said, "You know what?" She said, "I'm sick of that story." Mm-hmm. And I said, What do you mean you're sick of that story? I'm sober. I'm alive. Like, you're my sponsor. Why?" She said, "I'm sick of that story." She said, "You talk about being in the hospital and you talk about all this help that you got. What if you weren't white?" And I'm like, oh, I didn't tell her the story anymore. I didn't talk about it anymore, because I was just like rubbing her face in it. And I remember, yeah. So that's kind of like more people are becoming aware. More people are becoming supporters, and more people are. Do you take comfort in that fact, or are you still just angry as hell?
I don't even know if I'm angry. It's kind of like I've gone through life to the point where I'm at, and nothing has changed. You know what I mean? It's just going round and round. Everything's
changed.
It's the same craziness that just goes round and round. A new addiction replaces this addiction, and so on and so forth. The same family stuff, the same subdivisions, the same two groups. We vote one party in, they screw up, and we replace them with the other side. We won't go with the middle ground guys or these other guys because we find out something that's wrong with them, and we don't want to split the vote. So we just keep picking two incompetent groups to run something, who operate from a set of beliefs instead of operating and serving their constituents. They serve their party. The whole thing is just crazy. It's all about it's about money and power and control. And I had maybe hoped that in my time people would look at things and go, this is insane, and I'm going to stop doing this, but we don't. And that's that subdivision thing. We keep jumping on one side or the other of the teeter-totter, and the teeter-totter just keeps going like this, bang, 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 bang. And as human beings, we can't figure out to get on the middle and try and sort some stuff out and find some middle ground. We can't do it because we've got to keep picking sides.
And of course, you're on the side, but you're even taking the middle ground. You're like, why can't we even just talk about this and even it out? Why can't we just
just let's look at a few facts here and just deal with what it is. I'm not a radical on one side saying we got to do this and that, and I'm trying to find the middle ground on everything.
And that's why I asked you a couple weeks ago. I said, "Hey, do you want to jump on and talk about this?" And you were like, "Yeah, no, I'm about to, I will flip a table." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry," because you are very, you're very diplomatic.
Yeah.
So,
and then some people might maybe would say that I'm a sellout because I won't speak my truth. I won't speak my truth. But like I said, if I come on here and said what I really felt, if I just dropped it right here, There would be some organizations that wouldn't call me anymore. There would be some schools I wouldn't be able to work in anymore. There would be some shows I wouldn't be able to perform at anymore. There would be communities that I wouldn't be welcome in anymore.
That pisses me off too, because you can't say what you're really feeling here. Sorry, the problem is participants, observers, ignores, facilitators. We have to treat ourselves and others like we are valuable and responsible for taking care of each other. Sorry, who wrote that? I don't see it. I can't see who wrote that.
It's Dave Evans.
Dave, okay.
Yeah.
Because you feel like if you go off and say what you're really feeling about it, that you're going to be persecuted either politically, personally, or you could lose revenue, you could lose money, you could lose jobs.
And let's face it, financially is damaging. Socially, if that's what keeps you down, is if you get pushed to poverty, you're done. You have no voice whatsoever. You get squashed.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So you've got to watch. We got to watch what you say and what you do, and and then the other part is, I think it's about like I said, it's about finding that middle ground and acknowledging. Like I'm going to say something else on here, and maybe some people will go, oh, and I might get attacked.
If you say anything you horrifically regret, Ron, let me know, and I will cut it out before it gets reposted.
Once it's said, people could even take it and send it. Murdered and missing Indigenous women and children. I don't think about murdered, missing Indigenous women and children. I think about murdered and missing and mistreated women and children as a whole. And I think all women should come together and put men in their place.
Me too. And that's what that was about. I wanted to see what happened with the Aboriginal community, what happened with the Me Too movement, because I will tell you, it's a different place to work right now. Yeah. And Mike Tactics is here. Hey, Ron and Miki, as you probably know, being part of the educational system, I can happily say that there is a shift in the themes of the curriculum, especially with history. So, I mean, I haven't been in public school in a very long time, so that's amazing to hear. So thanks, Mike.
And yeah, now with this new information that just came out, Mike, there's going to be another change. There's going to be another shift. They're going to have to add some more stuff to this, and it's going to be like, it's like I said, I think if we can come together as a nation of people, if everyone can say the death of children is wrong, and organizations need to be held accountable. Doesn't matter what nationality you are. Everybody needs to come to the common denominator that maybe people of color, women and children are mistreated. They're trafficked, but it happens to all nationalities, and it happens to young ladies who are addicted. It happens to young ladies who are marginalized, right? When are we going to start protecting our women and children?
And we're avoiding the white elephant. We're avoiding the white elephant in the room. We're avoiding the pink elephant in the room, and I'll call it, because I'm not worried about losing jobs and stuff. And I have a little bit of a like, I'm a woman, so I know what it's like to be spoken down to or be treated, talked over because I'm a woman. Right. Yeah. There's, people of color, they're like, I am treated differently just because of the way my skin. I think that times are changing. And I believe, as a woman, even so, that the time of the white man rule is winding down. And I'm getting a lot, I just block people. I don't like people. If I get trolls or if I get any of that stuff, maybe I'm wrong. But in my world, in my social media, in my feeds, what I'm getting is that their time is over. Because that's where the money is, that's where the drive is, and it's done. And I love it when they cry and they say, hey, I'm scared to talk to people now. I'm scared something's going to come up from my history. Well, if you didn't rape anybody, then you probably shouldn't be worried about what's going to come up from your history. And they're uncomfortable and they're crying and they're the loudest ones on the internet right now. Wow, like Joe Rogan, I used to like that guy. Fuck that guy. I hate that guy now, right? He's like, we can't say anything. No, you said everything all the time forever and never been questioned on a damn thing.
And there goes Miki's 50% of her audience, because now you lost all the misogynists. They're gone.
No, they've been gone. I just went through it. I went through the U.S. election, and I decided at that point that the Trump supporters, like, we can have a difference of opinion, but if you're going to support rape and genocide, I decided I don't think we should hang out. anymore. And I've been told not to ostracize. I've been told to not alienate audience. I've been told to, but I was also told when I started doing the podcast, I needed to decide if I was doing this for me or if I was doing this for other people, because you cater, right? And if people are interested in me, I'm doing it for me. And I don't break that line. I'm not doing this as entertainment for other people. I'm not, not. I have very, very strict rules. I'm very passionate about how I feel about it, and I am what I am. So if people want to delete me or if people don't like me, that's okay. I'm used to not being liked. I have low self-esteem. It's expected, actually. So. All right, and I didn't. Yeah, so I won't poke around. I'll try not to poke around in there anymore. Well said, Ron. When do we protect and care for women and children? You are.
That's where it needs to go. Not Black women and children, not Indigenous women and children, not Asian women, all women and children. Knowing that minorities are quite often affected.
The vulnerable community.
Very vulnerable, and percentage-wise, vulnerability is much higher, quite likely in the minority. But to me, the way it's going to work is when all women pull together and say enough is enough, and that's what I want to see. I don't want to just a subgroup trying to climb uphill all the way, dragging through the mud. Where's the rest of the support? Everybody needs to team up together. And as men, we got to be part of that. And we got to catch these ones that are up to no good. And we got to hold them accountable.
And of the women that are watching, and Mia, like, how many times have we noticed, even as just as women, that what we have to say gets more validated when a man comes along and backs you up, right? Exactly. I find that we need to do this for our vulnerable communities. That we need to all stand up when they do. I said it just sounds like it's virtual signaling, and I feel like an asshole almost saying it. I said I'm very passionate about this. I have mental health and addictions. I have close ties and personal stories with where I've seen systemic racism, and that's why I just wanted to give you a platform. And if you had like anything else, did you want to say anything more on this topic specifically?
No, I just like I said, it would be my dream if we could get to a place where we could protect our women and children. And I think that's and I don't know if I'm going to see that in my time. I really don't. I as much as I want to be optimistic and I want to say things are on the rise, because what ends up happening is we start making movement on something, and then something comes and sideswipes it and pushes its priority away, and then now this is all important. And it kicks it to the curb. And that's what's happened with the murder and missing Indigenous women movement. They start getting something going, and then they get blocked, right? Whether it's financially or the support, it gets cut off. And then again, they start bashing up against the wall. And that just allows for opportunities. And then all of a sudden you start seeing in the news again, more trafficking stuff, human trafficking. And then you see more child pornography and all this. It's like, holy man.
What does that say about us as a society if we can't protect the vulnerable, the most vulnerable?
And we're only as strong as our vulnerable population. It shows who we really are. And unfortunately, I think we have people in society that it's about survival of the fittest, and may the best, push through. And unfortunately, we've seen that with the pandemic as well.
What do you mean?
Well, hey, it's only 1%. Piss on them. They're not strong enough to make her through. But maybe we just got to start thinking. And no one's thinking about the healthcare system collapsing. No one's thinking about what the doctors and the medical field's going through. People are putting up lies and crazy conspiracies on the internet. But
tons of money going into that. That's being very well funded.
But the bottom line is I don't give a shit about my neighbor. They're old. They were going to die anyways. They're the vulnerable population. Well, if they don't make it, I still want to go to work, and I want to continue on. I'm going to get sick for a week and maybe have the flu, but we're all going to pull. It's just selfishness. There's just a general selfishness in society. But when you got 9 billion on the planet, maybe that's what starts to happen. People just don't give a damn anymore, right?
You think we've deteriorated maybe as a society? We just don't give a shit about anybody, whether it be a disease, a pandemic, or Aboriginal children,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
women as
It's
with the right.
it's the fall of the human empire. Instead, when you've seen these empires that topple, right? It's the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, the German Empire, the English Commonwealth. It doesn't matter. I think as humans, we're crumbling. We're crumbling, and it's, I'm just sitting here watching it, going.
No, we just decided to become comedians. Mike loves us both. He says try to get on a stage together sometime this summer. Um,
You really think we're going to get there? They're just going to keep changing the rules. We won't see nothing here probably till 2022. The way we're going.
Is that what you're thinking? Yeah, I stopped making plans because as soon as I make plans, something changes, and then I don't want to get my hopes up again.
September 3rd, I'm going to the United States. I'm performing with Loverboy. I'm going on stage, and I don't give a shit if the border's closed, open, halfway. I'm using my J Treaty letter, and I'm crossing because I'm an American citizen as well as a Canadian, and I'm going to do that show. And then
tell me about that show, Ron.
And then when I come back, I'm going to use that same letter and say, "This is my homeland. You can't stop me. Goodbye." And I'm going to come right back in. And then people are going to say, "That's Indigenous privilege. I want one of those."
I've done some traveling during the pandemic. I don't advertise when I'm leaving and when I'm coming back, and that just comes down to the, I say, well, hey, when you've been alone and you've, for an extended period of time, sometimes it's just about mental health, and you're going to a place where they have 2 shots, where they're actually inoculated. So I wouldn't feel bad about that. So what's happening with that show? When is that?
Well, September 3rd, I'm at Turtle Lake, Wisconsin, Turtle Lake Casino, and I just got put on the bill with a group of guys that are just amazing. They've been around since the 1970s and been jamming out. They started off with a band humbly called Street Heart, and the majority of the guys moved and they created Loverboy with Mike Reno, and the rest is history, right? And I grew up listening to Loverboy, and I like them as human beings, and I just look forward to seeing them. I thought that was a great way to kind of come out and say, here we go. On the American side, this is my way of saying I'm back, and I'm going to start with them. So
that's awesome. And you're hilarious. Like, you are Thunderbay's top comic, and how you got that, just to qualify for anybody that might be wondering, is Ron Kanutski went up against, there were 15 Comic Idol winners, and they all went head to head, and in one like master showdown, and Ron came out first, and then Patrick was
now
second.
That's all a matter of perception too. Like there was a lot of funny stuff there. I sometimes when you see, the only reason I carry that title is because somewhere in the world it gets me that leg up to get another job. That's all it is. It's a fake
I'm
title.
embarrassing you by telling you this. I know this. Trust me, I know this. You're not sitting here. Do not defend this king of comedy thing. I'll tell you, you won. I was there. I saw it. You're okay. So we're just going to take the compliment.
Okay. All right.
Because I don't want you to defend it. You are very
I'll tell you, that show, you want to talk about being on the edge. So here we go. We're talking incident comedy, being on the edge.
I just want to qualify. This is where Ron and I met, and the day after and this is when you would ask me to be part of Superior Comedy. So this is where you and I started out. So go ahead.
So when they put that show on, do you know how much anxiety it cost me? See, Todd says I wasn't there. That's why he won.
He was the only one that wasn't there.
Yeah, Todd wasn't there. Actually, Mike Tackix wasn't there. And
Mike was there, wasn't he?
No, Mike wasn't there. I don't think so.
Mike, you were at.
Mike, yes, were you there? Mike wasn't at King of Comedy.
Mike was there. He did a joke about the Cookie Monster, I thought.
No, that was another time, I think.
I don't know. Whatever. I'm old.
Okay, I don't think it was. Go ahead. The bottom line is, like I said, those like competitions and things like that comes down to perception. And sometimes it's crowd
contests are ridiculous.
Yeah, they are ridiculous.
I put them on. They're hilarious. They're not real.
You want to talk about having anxiety? When I went there, I was the one who was there who really didn't want to be there. I tried to find a job so I could say I have a contract somewhere else, and no one would book me that week And I was like, shit, I don't want to go to this thing. And I'll tell you, because I thought if I lost, I was the one that was doing it professionally at that time.
You had everything to lose. You needed to do well. I didn't recognize your take on it until a couple of years later, but I do get it now.
Yeah, because if someone comes and not to pick on anyone in particular, but if someone came and all they do is sell cars, and then they come and win it, and I'm the guy that does it every day for a living, and I lose, it's kind of like, well, maybe I should rethink my career choice. And and the car salesman should be out doing what I'm doing, and I should be selling cars because I don't belong on the stage because I can't win. Right?
I'm very aware of the Comedian of the North contest that I put on, which of course you've never said, hey, can I be on that? Because I know why you don't. It's professionals and it's amateurs, because professionals have everything to lose. And it was 2 amateurs that have won and 1 professional. So the amateurs come in and they've got everything to gain. You've got everything to lose.
That's right.
And you took it home.
And that's why I've never liked competitions to start with. I was like, when I got second in the first one in 2009, I got second, and then it was the following year that I got first. That destroyed me.
Coming in second?
Because in my world, there's first and then there's nothing.
That's what happened to me. I came in second my first year.
I was raised that way. There's first and then there's nothing.
And then there's like, you're a loser. Yeah. That's how I felt. I came in second, and then I ended up, I did the exact same thing, I believe. And Todd, whatever, you just got up there, got on stage and won it because you didn't want to pay cover, which is how he got it. Son of a bitch. Yeah. So I can understand why you're not doing contests and stuff, but I did.
Well, the other part is I didn't get in this to do contests. I get in to get paid. I want to make a living at this. That's why I chose it as a career. When I was talking to Tom Jackson one time, Tom Jackson said to me, what do you do for a living? I said, I do comedy. He says, what else do you do as a side job? And I go, I don't. I do comedy. And he was kind of like, yeah, right. You're lying, because in Canada, there's not too many full-time comedians. They all have a part-time job because they can't make it as a comedian alone. And
I say, if I had to live off of what I made on comedy, I would starve.
Yeah. So when I told them that I actually do this for a living, people were like, no, but I do. And I've been very fortunate because I balance it in with some other things. So it blends and I'm able to run with it, whereas if you're just counting on clubs and that, man, that's a tough go, and I don't think I would do it because it wouldn't pay enough.
We haven't done a show in a while. So you came in first out of the top 15, but there was a 16th year. There was a 16th year. There's one Thunder Bay comic idol you've never beaten.
A comic idol?
There's a Thunder Bay comic idol that you've never gone against and beaten.
Who's that?
Me. We should do like a roast battle or something at the Da Vinci when we got, I don't know. I feel like no, it's true. There's one comic idol. Anyway, I know we're going to be doing shows and stuff together when we start getting going. I'm not going to challenge your
2000
title.
And what are we doing that? 23?
2000.
Start out 22? 22?
So if venues can do 25% capacity and the Da Vinci here can do a 600 capacity, that's not a bad size show. And the reason why I backed out last year, when I was speaking with the Da Vinci and we were going to throw something together, is that I was worried that if something happened, and something did happen, that pickleball tournament, I didn't want to be known as the one that threw the COVID party.
Yeah.
But I'm in a position now where I feel like we could do 25% capacity and they could have their, we'll take our safety precautions, but I feel a lot more comfortable doing something now. I would love to do something with you and Todd and, anybody that wants to come out kind of as a grand sort of reopening. We should all get together and have a good time.
That would be fun. We definitely gotta get back at it. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I'll be rusty. We're all going to just get up and bomb like shit, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I've been pushing the same material virtually, so I'm still kind of going. It just it's just not a stage thing. It's just going to have to be about standing up there again and not doing it through a camera like what we're doing right now. Todd
did a Zoom thing yesterday. I'm going to
Opener lives matter. Yes, Todd, that's why.
Opener lives matter.
That's why I let you take your fiddle out and play once in a while, brother.
I love Todd. Todd played his drums on my show.
Yeah.
Haven't beaten me either. Oh, that's right. The three of us. I'm going to challenge the two of you. The three of us: Todd, Jeno, and Ron Kanutski and Miki Hughes. We should just do a little roast battle. The last one standing, and then whoever wins can headline. Which means I'll throw it because I still can't headline. I'm going to post my Zoom stuff. I'm just going to post it online because I'm not going to do it in person.
I don't think you guys want to go against me because when it's all done, the two of you are going to be in therapy and crying.
Todd, did you hear that?
And I'm going to be just sitting going.
Yeah, but this is a roast battle. You actually have to go against somebody that's like kind of quick like this. You don't get to plan it out beforehand.
Oh, I don't need to plan it. I'm a pretty nasty competitor.
Todd won in on this.
I don't think you remember. You got to remember who did I destroy?
I don't know. Not me. Not me. You've never.
The guy who pulled the plug on my sound system is actually the guy who helped me win that thing.
Yeah, the one that got mad at me for laughing during your set.
Yeah, because I decided to destroy him for the last couple of minutes of the show, and I think that was the win. It's when they actually had a victim, which I normally never do because I never roast people. Generally, when I'm on stage, I don't pick on people, but that guy gave me ample opportunity, and I went over to him and I said, "Thanks for the win, buddy."
We're out of that reach anyway. Todd, are you still watching? Did you just hear Ron talk shit about this? I'm going to set this up. Actually, I'm going to do it. So you and Todd and I don't know if he's like a little like bitch about it, but he might not want to do it. But if you want to go, we can do that because you're like this and not like this. So we should play. Well, this is going to make the best pro. Look, he's all quiet now. He's in the fetal position. I'm
just looking at Todd's thing.
No, not you, Todd. I know. I'm
he's quiet now. Yeah.
I'm going to text him. I'm going to text Chris Hall and be like, "Are you watching this right now?" Oh yeah, you beat Chris. So there that VIP invite tag.
3 comedians and a Kia at McDonald's. Okay,
I'm doing that. We're gonna do. You know what? We're gonna do some show. We're gonna let's invite Lee Noyes and let's invite all the people that you beat, right? And then Todd and I, we can kick it off with a little roast battle. Maybe the audience can decide, and you could decide. I mean, we can split it with charity. We can do whatever you want. But I'm going to plan something. I'm comfortable. I'm good with it now. 25% capacity. Maybe if it's a month, it's 50% capacity. I don't care. I need a stage run.
Yeah, we could play in someone's backyard. Just kidding.
Yeah. Well, because there's that too. Did you go to any of those I want to call them like underground, like those backyard comedy shows where you got like an invite like an hour before it happened and they gave you the address?
I don't know if it was an hour before, but I got paid to do a couple of shows out in some really remote places, and there were people that were camping and that, and I had some pretty big crowds out there. I couldn't believe there were that many people in the
I was like, we're doing bootlegged comedy. That's a thing now. Like we're doing it like in a garage. Everybody's meeting all quietly. You know, they bring in the legal weed that they bought online, and it's like, no, it's comedy.
They have a sign that says, "Don't laugh when the police are going by."
Yeah, the cops are coming in. Hey, is there any comedy going on in here? No.
It's
an AA meeting.
Yeah, we just had the TV up loud. We're watching Saturday Night Live and stuff.
Yeah. I love that. Where did I see that? That you could have a get together of 5 people, but if one of them died, it would be 10 because you could have 10 at a funeral. So, yeah, this is really weird. There's just
no common sense in any of that stuff.
There's so much material. VIP invite. You know what? Todd is just. I'm going to text him after this, but I wanted to thank you so much, Ron, for being here. This is actually almost like the longest episode I've done. I try to do.
We could have turned this into like what you call. Just keep going.
I know there was some good smack talk.
A mini series.
Yeah, it's funny because maybe we'll even do. I don't know. I don't think really online, but it's really funny how quiet Todd got. Now I feel like because we both. So I slammed him, challenged you both. You said that you're better than everybody. I'm just trying to get us up to speed.
Oh wait, I didn't say I was better. I just said I would. You would bring it. I would trash you guys. I didn't say I was better than you. I just telling you, I'll throttle you guys because I'm good at it.
You would still keep the king of comedy. But I'm just curious because we've never gone head to head.
No, I just bring my street fighting skills. It's not about being the winner.
I'm feeling strong though. Like this is different. This is a different time. I've had I've had some time to work on material, sit in my room, think about life, and spend 14 months alone. You don't know what I would bring. I don't know. I'd probably get on stage and still be scared, do the same material, and be like, oh, bye.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember, as soon as you say the wrong thing, you're going to lose 50% of the crowd.
Like I said, I already made a decision. Did you watch Mike Bullard at the very beginning? I was like pro Black Lives Matter, pro choice, pro, I'm anti-idiot. I'm pro this. Like I just laid it all out. And I did get messages after saying, you know what, maybe you should.
Yeah.
But
Right.
what
Yeah.
right.
I saw Amy Schumer. That's where I really learned that from, is I saw Amy Schumer do that. I saw her do a show, and she made some comments in her show, and half the crowd booed her. And I was like, whoa, like this is where the world's at right now. Like you gotta watch what you say, because it'll finish you now.
There's I'm pro cancel culture.
Yeah.
I'm pro cancel culture.
Yeah.
I am. I mean, I'm not pro like cancel the Muppets and call, we're not going to say moms anymore. We're going to say birth givers. But I know like there's even something that's a little bit too far for me.
Yeah.
I don't think that jokes and material that comes at the emotional expense of other people, and then we get to turn around and call them snowflakes. Like you don't get to make fun of a type of person, whether it being your size, race, religion, whatever. You don't get to make fun of that person and then call them a fucking snowflake because their feelings are hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm done with that. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I'm not going to go to a show where I'm going to be offended and then say, this is what this person said, right? I put up trigger warnings if we talk about stuff. And I'm aware that there's certain comics that talk about certain things.
Mm-hmm. And so that goes, so sort of as a closure, as we're coming down. So here you're looking at Sam Kinison, my hero. And I go and watch his material now and I go,
It doesn't age well. Some doesn't age well. And if you've made a joke in the past, you have one joke that uses the R word. But I heard it like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And if anybody were to if Gen Z were to zero in on you, Ron.
Yeah.
And you have a choice. You can double down and defend it.
Yeah.
You can apologize and say, you know what, that's not a joke I do anymore. It didn't age well. And I understand, from a different perspective, right? I mean, like, it comes down to your thing. It's not just like you did something in the past, fuck you, you're canceled.
Yeah.
How are you going to respond to that now? Are you still going to do that joke?
That joke is not changing. That joke is going to stay there.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it educates where
we will disagree. we might fight yet, Ron.
That's okay. That joke really shows people where people can be stuck in their education. That for me, that's what it's about. It's because you're learning about what you shouldn't say or what you shouldn't, how you shouldn't talk about one particular situation, yet you're still stuck in another part. And believe it or not, that word is on the rise again. It's being missed. And that's the only thing I think that bothers me about it is that I'm hearing another generation use it. And it's kind of like, and it's
a different connotation. Like I'm going to say like with you mean like Gen Z, like they're using, even the word gay has a different connotation to it. Where if a boomer uses it, you say that's really defamatory. Whereas I feel like in Gen Z, they could put underneath somebody's, tag or whatever, they can say gay and, it can be funny. And it because it's in context. But your joke is about that and about the R word. And so, actually, we'll just see how that plays out.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised that you said that you would keep doing it. I thought that would have been done a long time ago.
That joke is going to keep going because it's about changing what that word represents. To me, that word it's not that doesn't have to do with people with special needs. It doesn't have to do with people that have Down syndrome. To me, that word is about just the plain stupidity.
But you're not Chris Rock. You don't get to define
of the everyday person that just does stuff that they should know better and they don't. That's what I define that word to.
That is that's taking on a lot of responsibility and putting too much faith in the gravity of that joke specifically for you as presented by you.
Well, I hate to tell you, it works at the shows. It's one of the home runs. It does. It's a home run hitter. It's a home run hitter. And I'll tell you, if 3 people walk out, fuck them.
Yeah. that's the way the other pendulum is. You qualify at the beginning. You say, look, if you're sensitive, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Right. Like I did.
If it's 50%, I'm going to go, okay.
Yeah, maybe I'll reevaluate. This is going to affect my money.
But when two people walk out, you weren't meant to be here anyways, because you're just not ready for this.
You'll also go and see the Rank and Vile show with Kenny Robinson and laugh your ass off. So you are. It's not.
I don't know if I'd laugh my ass off, but I definitely giggle here and there. Yeah.
You're not a do as I say, not as I do. Basically, that's what I'm saying. You're not a hypocrite.
I like to push the envelope a little bit, but there is some stuff, like I said, it goes too far. And I told you, my hero Sam Kinison, he went too far. He really did on some stuff. But he set the stage for comedy back in the day. There's before Sam Kinison and after Sam Kinison. It's like it's
let's give away
before Sam, after Sam. And
let's give away a couple. Oh, sorry, I was gonna say let's give away a couple of T-shirts here. Sure. So we got
we still have people. See, we were talking about that word, and actually 2 people joined. We haven't even lost people. We gained people. They were like, now we're getting somewhere.
Who's going to lose their shit? Is it going to be Ron or is Miki going to? In fact, I've on purpose always thought, I'm never going to debate anybody, but I guess always, like absolutely respectful and a respectful dialogue. And I ended up getting that YouTube ban. So I'm like, screw it. I'll just say whatever. We've got 13 people here. We've got a lot of commenters. Who's still here? Ron has 2 less bitching, more Meegwetching. Meegwetching, am I saying it right? I hope I spelled it right. I probably spelled it wrong.
Less bitching, more Meegwetching t-shirts.
Yeah, who wants one? Who wants a
t-shirt?
Who wants it?
First, say I want one. You got to write. I want one. I want one. Just got to write it.
I'm going to type it.
I want one.
Oh, I'm just kidding. So Ella, who wants one of Ron's t-shirt? I've worn it so many times. I didn't wear it tonight because it was dirty. I thought of all the times. I think if I'm doing a video, if I'm doing a TikTok, if I'm doing something fun, I like to wear your shirt or Black Pirates or somebody that's local or like local bands and stuff. I wear their shirts because I think if something goes viral, right, I'll be like, I'm representing.
We got Mia and Brian. Where's Brian? Brian, where are you from?
I don't see Brian. What are you seeing before mine? Are you seeing YouTube?
Oh, you probably got different things going on. I'm just watching this chat thing on the side. I don't know who's.
I do. I'm watching the chat thing on the side, but I'm not seeing any more YouTube. You know what? Actually, I think I do. I think you're ahead of me. Is it Brian Corkum?
Brian says that. Yeah. Brian.
Yeah. Okay. So Brian and Mia. There we go. Brian and Mia. They're both from Thunder Bay.
John Nelson says I would, but I'm sure I wouldn't. It wouldn't fit me. Well, I got big sizes. I'm weight sensitive or weight
sensitive. He's John Nelson has just lost a whole pile of weight. Can I say that? So he's a very good friend of mine. We met. We were when I was getting sober. He was a gamer, and so did I. We ended up chatting and meeting over this.
Well, we got to give one. We got to give one to Mia because Mia was first, and then who's second here? I've lost control of the page because it's like taking off.
You know what? John was the second one then. Sorry, John said that he would. I will cover shipping to Texas.
Okay.
Mia
lives in Lake Helen. So what I need, Mia and John, if you can send to
my page.
Send Miki your addresses, and then we'll get.
Send this R word. You're freaking. Just kidding. Anyway, you know what? I got to be careful. I don't want to alienate the people that I actually don't want to alienate. I only want to alienate the people that Yeah. Okay. So we got John Nelson and we have Mia. We'll get you guys a couple of t-shirts. Send me your addresses, please, and I will get them from Ron and I will ship those out to you.
No.
That was it. And do you have anybody coming up on Ron's World? Did I ask you about that? You told me about
Ron's World and the in my circles just on hold right now. I've shut it down. Okay. I think of anticipation that I'm going back to the world. I'm probably not going to do too much more online stuff. It was there just to keep people occupied and busy during this time, and I think now I'm getting ready to go back out into the public forum.
Okay, well, thank you, Ron. This has actually been like the most interesting conversation. I felt like very passionate about this. I love you. The community here loves you, and I
Even
can't wait to
after,
see you again on
even
stage.
after all those things I said.
Especially after all of those
Yeah.
things you said. You know what? I'm going to tell you, like, I'm pretty sure most people are terrified of me, and you're just like, I don't give a shit. It's not a disease. It's a disease. No, I love it. I love your candidness. You've always been straightforward, frank to the point. I knew it was going to be good. Like, I knew it. I knew it. So thank you so much. And I'm going to set something up. I'm going to make sure Todd gets a clip of the challenge, and let's see if we can't throw something together, maybe make our comeback in Thunder Bay at the Da Vinci together, united as Thunder Bay comedians.
Sounds good.
Sound good?
Yeah, thanks
All
for
right.
thanks for having me out. It's been fun being at this end of the
Yeah, I was gonna say you're on
I don't do too many interviews or visit with people, so I'm normally the one that sits in the chair and asks the questions and carefully guides it through. And
yeah, no, I love it. Thank you. You're very good. You're a perfect guest. Thank you very much. Have a good night, and we will see you on the stage pretty soon.
All right, take care, Miki. Good night, everybody. Thanks for stopping in. Bye. Take care.
Good night, Ron. Goodbye. And so that was Ron, and I love him, and that was great. I'm not going to edit this. This is going to go back exactly how it just went down. So what I would like to do is mention that the next guest that I have is next week we're going to have Luke Lindell, and we have Janelle Niles coming up. So I'm going to have the promos up pretty soon. I want to thank you very much for coming, those that stuck through the whole show. And if Mia, please, and John Nelson, if you could please send me your addresses, we'll get those t-shirts out to you. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night.